move up their primary dates and get going earlier and earlier? Does it really matter what happens tonight?
Well, I think, particularly on the Republican side, I think we might see the race narrow down to about 3 or 4 after tonight. But yeah, I think on the Democratic side, I think Hillary Clinton is not going anywhere. Even if she loses tonight, she's got the money, she's got the infrastructure to stay in this race. So yeah, on the Democratic side, maybe less of an impact. But on the Republican side, I think we could see. What does this mean for Chris Christie, Jeb Bush, John Kasich? If any of these guys don't perform well in New Hampshire tonight, what's the rationale for them to stay in the race?
Yeah, well, I mean, does Hillary Clinton? I heard a report coming in to work this morning, and it said Hillary Clinton hopes to keep it within 9 percentage points of Bernie Sanders. So she wants to be basically under the 10% mark. She trails by 26. That's not going to happen, is it? I mean, unless the polls are off more than they've ever been, and they've definitely been off. We've had several major polls here in Kentucky that were off in the last 2 big election cycles.
Sure.
And the Iowa polls were off, but the Iowa polls were off like 9 points, one way or another. They're not off 26 points, right?
Yeah, no, they shouldn't be. And I think that's for Hillary Clinton. I think that if they come within 9 points, 8 points, that's a win. They're going to be able to take that to their donors.
But it's also a pipe dream.
Hey, we didn't lose that by that much, and this is ours. But if she loses by double digits and really gets destroyed today, again, she's not going to go away.
But she's going to get destroyed today. That's my point. I mean, she's not. Yeah. Single digits is a pipe dream for her at this point. She's going to get destroyed. What does that do?
Well, I think it's going to put more doubt in the minds of Democratic voters about how well of a machine she's actually running in this campaign. And this invincibility, this coordination that I think she was hoping to receive on the Democratic side. If tonight she does, as you think you will, and I think you're right, then just put more doubt in the minds of voters. But the map certainly does favor her once we get to South Carolina, even Nevada. Nevada actually on the Democratic side you want to watch, because that could be the one where if Bernie wins tonight, Hillary wins next week. Then Nevada, really, that's a toss-up right now on the Democratic side.
Okay, so you have South Carolina next week, and then Nevada the week after. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay,
that's right.
Does New Hampshire matter more though, because the independents can vote either way, and so does it give us maybe our first indication of how those vaulted independents in the middle of, so to speak, that aren't registered to either party? To give us our first indication of how they might be. I mean, because we can look back and say, look, Bernie Sanders is winning the independents, or we can look back and say Donald Trump is winning.
Right, absolutely. I think the one to watch for, too, is John Kasich. I've been getting reports from his campaign about the direct appeal that they're trying to win over independents in New Hampshire, trying to attack some Republicans, trying to carve out some very sensitive positions. So John Kasich, someone who I think, frankly, a lot of us have been ignoring, could have a strong night tonight, and he could be in the mix because of the dynamics you point out of New Hampshire that allows independents to vote in either primary.
But it matters as a barometer, but isn't appealing to independents early here, isn't that more of a dangerous strategy for trying to win the actual primary? So if that's what Kasich is doing, he's going to have trouble in South Carolina big time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, think about Super Tuesday. John Kasich, that's may work in New Hampshire, but thinking about Super Tuesday, a lot of southern states, South Carolina next week. I mean, that's not a state that's very friendly to modern Republicans, to say the least. And so, I think John Kasich comes out tonight, third place, strong showing. He'll start getting some donations his way, more buzz about him. But again, I think long term, I think it's going to be hard any way you look at it for John Kasich to get the nomination.
Do you expect any surprises? I mean, as it looks like right now, it looks like most likely John Kasich. I don't know how close they are. You might have seen the polls. Kasich and Rubio should be battling it out for second or third. Rubio is going to consider third place a win anyway. Trump should win that. Are there any surprises? Or anybody that might, if somebody pops up and actually does well, on the Republican side, you'd be surprised to see that New Hampshire and say maybe that campaign has a little more life than we thought?
Yeah, I think Kasich, but also Jeb Bush. I've been hearing that you drive around Concord and a lot of these big cities, you see a lot of Jeb Bush signs. So he's up there. He's polling in double digits in New Hampshire. So potentially he could have a night where he does well. But if he doesn't, on the flip side, if he doesn't do well tonight, Jeb Bush, that is, again, I don't see why he stays in this race. Same could be said about Chris Christie. But if there's a wild card, I think a couple wild cards, and then the Republican side is Jeb Bush and John Kasich.
All right, very interesting, Israel Ortega. Appreciate very much your insight here.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, so there you go. Covering the presidential race for you as we move forward. We'll see what ends up happening tonight. I don't expect any major surprises. I think Rubio probably should. I guess what will be interesting to see is if Rubio hurt himself in the debate on Saturday, where he just got taken down by Chris Christie. But if he finishes third still, then he's probably just fine. And I don't know that it was as big of a deal as some people made it out to be, but he looked bad and definitely got a new nickname, Marco Robo. What are you gonna do, right? Cats take on Georgia tonight. Tip-off's 9 o'clock in the Pipes. Is that right? 9 o'clock for the Cats tonight. And they kind of got back on track a little bit this last weekend. So we'll see what with that game against Florida. Of course, Florida's gonna be a lot tougher when they go down there, and that's not gonna be too far away right here next week or so, or a couple of weeks. So Kentucky with Georgia coming into Rupp Arena tonight. They moved down in the polls to 22nd from 20th. I kind of thought after that Tennessee situation, they might actually drop out of the top 25. They might actually deserve to drop out of the 25. They did bounce back against Florida, so I guess that's what kept them in it. So we'll see what happens with regard to that. All right, coming up next, let me talk a little bit about this tax plan for you and what the Democrats are proposing in Frankfurt. Now, obviously, we have a new governor that's probably not going to let that happen, nor is the Republican-led legislature. But I think it's worth pointing out what they try to do and what they try to shade as tax reform. And it's an opportunity for me to get up on my soapbox about tax reform for real. I'm always happy to do that. Next, News Radio 630 WLAP.
News Radio 630 WLAP, Sullivan University. Skywatch traffic.
Roads are a little icy this morning, so be extra careful with no delays right now due to collisions. Inbound Richmond Road past the circle looks good. Officers on with Skywatch traffic.
Snow showers out and about again for today, and those cold temperatures slide on in, so anything that falls this time will stay. I'm WKYT meteorologist Micah Harris.
Now, it's iHeart Movies with Shelley Sunstein.
Misconduct is a very twisty thriller taking on two favorite targets, Big Pharma and lawyers. Sir Anthony Hopkins is the pharmaceutical CEO, and Al Pacino heads the New Orleans law firm trying to take him down. Josh Duhamel is a young, ambitious lawyer leading the case, and when he's not trying to claw his way to the top, the young gun is caught in a love triangle between his wife, played by Star Trek's Into the Darkness Alice Eve, and a seductive, obsessive ex, played by Malin Ackerman, who's best known for the Watchmen movies and most recently the TV series Billions. Malin Ackerman has the most fun. Think Fatal Attraction fun. And she's a big reason for the R rating because of some nudity. While her character also plays the GF of Sir Anthony Hopkins, it's only Duhamel who gets the sexy scenes with her. Clocking in at an hour 46, it's not a bad thriller till about 75% in, when all hell breaks loose with insane plot twists and a feel like they've created the thing just to play with your head. Way over the top. Misconduct gets 1.5 hearts. I'm Shelley Sunstein. Facebook or tweet me, Shelley with an I, Sunstein with an O. And keep listening for more on iHeartRadio.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1970.
The Beatles released the Phil Spector-produced album Let It Be. It generates 3 #1 hits, Get Back, Let It Be, and their final #1, The Long and Winding Road. The Kinks song Lola, about a romantic encounter with a transvestite, makes #2 UK and #9 US. In July, the Stooges released their second album on Elektra Records, Funhouse. And British band Mungo Jerry are number 1 in the UK, number 3 in the US with the single In the Summertime. In August, Eric Clapton releases his first solo album and scores a top 20 hit with his cover of J.J. Cale's After Midnight. Neil Diamond scores his first number 1 with Cracklin' Rosie. September of 1970, Neil Young has a top 10 album with After the Gold Rush. War, an anti-war protest song by Edwin Starr, tops the charts.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1970. Coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1973.
The Rolling Stones are back on top with a number 1 album in the US and the UK and a number 1 single, Angie. Let's Get It On is a number 1 single and a number 2 album for Marvin Gaye. Also in August of '73, Stevie Wonder is back with the number 4 album, Inner Visions. And Florida band Leonard Skinner released their debut album and a top 20 hit with Freebird and tour opening for The Who. Fast forward to October, where on their 8th album, the Steve Miller Band debut a smooth blues rock sound and scored number 1 hit with The Joker.
You're listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1973. Coming up.
Leland Conway is streaming right now on iHeartRadio and WLAP.com.
By the way, I told you that Governor Bevin was going to get pushback from the college lobby in the state for wanting to cut 9% across the board. Of course, he spared education, but not colleges. And I applaud what Bevin did, because it's about time. Now, public universities are basically becoming fiefdoms unto themselves, and they're using taxpayer dollars to do it, all the while raising the tuition for your kids. And the first example of pushback that has gotten pretty dramatic is this story in the Courier Journal this morning at Kentucky State University. Their president came out yesterday and actually said that it's possible that the 9% budget cuts could cause a disaster. He said, quote, "I do not like either one of those options." He said it could be crippling to the school. It could be so crippling to the school that it would have to declare financial crisis or prepare a closure plan. He said, quote, "I do not like either one of those options, and I am working hard to make sure we can do our work smarter, logically, and effectively to ensure that Kentucky State University is here for another 130 years." That's President Raymond Burse said in a letter to university stakeholders. What this is simply it's the gnashing of teeth I told you was going to happen in the university sector. No, they're not going to close. Come on, man. Every business in America can cut 9% from their budget and do just fine. Why can't colleges? So there you go. But that is part of what I think gives folks over in Frankfurt the idea that maybe they can propose a sneaky tax hike and somehow sneak it through. It's not going to happen. But you should know what they try to pass off as tax reform. Let me tell you real quick. This is the Leland Conway definition of tax reform. The Leland Conway definition of tax reform is eliminate income taxes and corporate taxes, assess a sales tax of 5.5%, and be done with it, and get the government out of the business of picking winners and losers. That's tax reform. What this is a tax hike. Harold Leader reporting on this. The Democrat House members want to raise $570 million a year. According to the story, Representative Jim Wayne over in Louisville said, quote, we can't make the investments needed for Kentucky to thrive unless we modernize a badly outdated and inadequate tax code. By modernize, there's nothing in here that changes anything that's already being done. It only shifts the burden. That's his idea of modernize. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Representative Tom Birch, also over in Louisville, said, quote, it's time to give Kentucky a tax system that properly supports education, law enforcement, roads and infrastructure, environmental protection, health care, programs that help our state's most vulnerable citizens. Well, you know what? The folks in Frankfort, the bill has come due. The time has come to pay the piper, and it's time to stop giving away our tax dollars for all of your pet